Our lesson today is from Daniel chapter 3. King Nebuchadnezzar built a gold statue 90 feet tall and 9 feet thick. He set it up on the Dura plain in the province of Babylon. He then ordered all the important leaders in the province, everybody who was anybody, to the dedication ceremony of the statue. They all came to the dedication, all the important people, and they took their places before the statue that Nebuchadnezzar had erected. Just then, some Babylonian fortune tellers stepped up and accused the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "Holy cats." That's not exactly what they said, but it was really close. "Long live the king! You have strict orders, O king, that when the big band started playing, everyone would fall to their knees and worship the gold statue. And whoever did not go to their knees and worship, they'd be pitched into the furnace. Well, there's some Jews here, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, whom you have placed in high positions in the province of Babylon. These men are ignoring you, O king. They don't respect your gods, and they won't worship the gold statue that you set up." Furious, King Nebuchadnezzar ordered Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to be brought in. When the men were brought in, Nebuchadnezzar asked, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you don't respect my gods and refuse to worship the gold statue that I've set up? I'm going to give you a second chance. But from now on, when the big band strikes up, you must go to your knees and worship the statue that I've made. If you don't worship it, you'll be pitched in the roaring furnace, no questions asked." Who is this God who can rescue you from such power? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered King Nebuchadnezzar, "Your threat actually means nothing to us. If you throw us into the fire, the God we serve can rescue us from the roaring furnace and anything else that you can cook up. But even if God doesn't, it wouldn't change a bit. We still wouldn't serve your gods or worship the gold statue that you've set up." Nebuchadnezzar, his face was purple with anger, cut off Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He ordered the furnace fired up 7 times hotter than usual. He ordered some strong men from the army to tie them up, both hands and feet, and threw them into the roaring furnace. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, bound hand and foot, fully dressed from head to toe, were pitched into the roaring fire. Because the king was in such a hurry, and the furnace was so hot, flames from the furnace killed the men who carried Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to it, while the fire raged around Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Suddenly King Nebuchadnezzar jumped in alarm and said, "Didn't we throw 3 men in, hands bound and feet bound? Didn't they go into the fire?" "Well, that's right, O king. But look," he said, "I see 4 men walking around freely in the fire, completely unharmed. And the 4th man looks like a son of God's." Nebuchadnezzar went to the door of the roaring furnace and called in, "Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out here." Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they walked out of the fire. All the important people, the government leaders and the king's counselors, gathered around to examine them and discovered that the fire hadn't made so much as a scorch mark on them. A hair was not singed. Their clothes were intact, and there was no smell of fire on them. Nebuchadnezzar said, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angel to rescue these servants who trusted him. They ignored the king's orders and laid their bodies on the line rather than serve or worship any god of their own. Therefore, I issue this decree. Anyone, anywhere, of any race, color, or creed who says anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego will be ripped to pieces, limb from limb, and their houses torn down. There has never been a God who can pull off a rescue like this. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. It's a pretty big statue. On many Sunday mornings, you could be at 1265 Lombardy Avenue at the foot of a statue of a gentleman named Vince, 14 feet tall, covered in bronze, that stands on top of a 6-foot granite pot. And there's people that go there and they toast him. Some dare to touch him. Some actually give a nod like a bow to him. And that statue commands awe. But there's more, right? There's more statues that we have around. There is something that divides the east from the west. It's called the gateway to the west. 630 feet of stainless steel in an arch. You can sit down at one end, follow it all the way up, and to the bottom on the other end. It is awe-inspiring. It is beautiful. It is our history. Lincoln Memorial, 98 feet tall, 16th president, sitting in contemplation over the entire United States of America. The Washington Memorial, 555 feet tall. We may not say these are statues that we worship, but we are expected to treat them with reverence. If we really wanted to go nuts, we could say maybe the stars and stripes, which fly all the time. We pledge allegiance to the flag. We sing a song when we stand and hold our hands over our hearts or our hats off our heads. We might not want to call them gods, but I would venture to say that we're not so different as everybody around Uncle Nebuchadnezzar. There are smaller gods in all of our lives that we choose to attend to. Our bank accounts, our jobs, a particular television show, an addiction, a routine. But none of these have to become gods. And yet, oftentimes, we put those things in a place well before the worshiping of the God that we celebrate right now. That story was pretty amazing. King makes a giant statue, tells everybody that they have to bow to it, or else they're going to get tossed into a furnace, right? 3 Jewish fellas say, there is no way that we're going to worship that thing. No way. So some people who tell on everybody else went up to the king and said, hey, by the way, those 3 guys, they're doing it. King says, I'm going to give you a second chance. They basically refuse the second chance. They get tossed furnace, and then they come out alive along with this fourth figure that looks like a son of God's. They're unscathed. And in this, however it happened, Nebuchadnezzar suddenly believes in the God of Israel, the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the God who saves, the God who rescues, and not the one that destroys. A God that would send his Son into the flames of a furnace to save God's beloved children and to show his authority. As a church, we enter this time that starts now as we lead up to Christmas. You know, Christmas is coming like soon now. Yes! And yet there's all this waiting, right? I mean, today's December 1st. We have at least 23 days until we start to celebrate. Maybe 24, depending on when you do the celebration. Okay. But this time during Advent, this is what we call it. We call it Advent. It means getting ready. A lot of times on the outside, it's about getting ready. That means going and buying all the gifts, wrapping them, making sure you have it all. If you don't have everything to match out with everybody else, you better get another one. Because everybody has to get the same amount. Right? Right. That's the preparing out there. We do a different kind of preparation. We get our hearts ready. We get our hearts ready for another baby to be born again. Flesh, just like us. And we wait for him to come. And we call this time hope. Because it's all about that. We just hope that he's going to come again. Hope that he's going to stir things up. Hope that we are going to be saved continually. Hope that we have new life in the presence of this baby of Jesus in our midst. So we're trying to focus on all of that time, and yet we had Black Friday, and now we have Cyber Monday. Total distractions. Then we also have overeating and over drinking and times of depression which seem to settle in on this time, and the makers of Prozac love the doctors. My question is, what would happen if we let hope take its course? For Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, their hope rested in the God of their ancestors. God who promised never to leave us. God who claims to be Emmanuel, with us always. We each have lots of choices to make. And I'm not about to say don't go to Christmas parties. Don't go and watch the football game. Don't go and give gifts. What I am saying is be cognizant of what you're doing and where you're putting it. Because if we see that some of those things come before worshiping the baby, we know who we're actually worshiping. And it may be targeted. Whatever we put forth first is a pretty good indicator of where we put our time and our energy. I tell you, we had really bad football games both Thursday and Saturday. And I had written this way long ago. Because our hope doesn't come in a Hail Mary pass either at the end of the game. When we actually had a chance to potentially do something yesterday, right? But it doesn't come in that. That's not where hope is. Hope doesn't even come from all those parties and everything else. But hope does come from a gift. At least one gift. The gift that God gives to us. The gift of Jesus. That comes not only Christmas Day, but every day in between as well. In faith and hope, we are invited by God to be part of something much bigger than ourselves. Something that doesn't have walls, and it's really hard to pinpoint as to where it really is at any given time, or for that matter, where it's not. We're invited to be part of something that's always on the move, something that's organic in its growth, that has impressive strength. And we call it the kingdom of God. That's ruled by the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, a very small baby who we call Jesus. And in that kingdom, when we share our faith with one another and others, it just continues to get bigger and bigger. But the kingdom can't grow without us. And we can't give it our all without the hope and faith that rests in the promise of Jesus, Emmanuel, that He will be with us throughout all of our days. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had faith and hope that their God would deliver them from an exceedingly hot furnace. And God came through. God has hope in you. Listen to that clearly. God has hope and faith in you to help share the promise of the baby Jesus and the gift of faith, the gift of grace, the gift of love that will be coming. In order to do this, we put our hope and our faith in this small child who promises to light up the world. And his name is simple. It's just Jesus. And he's the one who we give worship and praise to. So this Advent, keep him first.